Hello everybody, in today's video we are going to be going over a frigid air mass that's going to be moving to the east, and it's going to be impacting much of the central and eastern United States. Over the next couple of days we're going to be tracking out your temperature anomalies and also your daily low temperatures for every single day within the next 10 days. And then we'll also look at why this is happening, and even we'll look out a little bit later at a couple of potential snow events for parts of the northern plains and also for parts of northern New England as they start to get into their snow season. So let's get right into it here with your current National Weather Service page. And we already see some of those colder advisories here. We have some frost advisories in the light blue, freeze warnings in the darker blue. We also see that for parts of Colorado there, winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories wrapping up there over New Mexico and Colorado as that storm moves out. Frost advisories and freeze warnings in effect for parts of northeastern Nevada, and we actually have red flag warnings along the coastal regions of the western United States. We have some flood watches over parts of south central Texas there, and then we also have a little pocket there of some heat advisories for southwestern Louisiana. So let's get right into it here. Let's start off with what we have pretty much as of when I'm speaking, or just a little bit before. So this would be earlier this morning, and we are looking at some much cooler than normal conditions over much of the Rockies, the northern plains, and much of the western United States as a whole, where you were looking at some extremely below average temperatures. Also, something I just want to clarify, for temperature anomalies, I'm going to be using the European Ensemble model, and for the 2 meter daily low temperatures, I'm going to be using the European model, just the base European model. So I just wanted to point that out, just to clarify, if you guys were curious. So let's look at your low temperatures for today, and they were in the 30s, 20s, teens in the highest elevations, maybe even some single digits in parts of Wyoming there. But for the most part, it was in the 30s, especially over lower lying areas. As you get further to the east, though, you did see a quite pleasant start to the day, where you had temperatures starting off in the 60s and 70s. So quite warm further to the east, very cold and below average further to the west. Now, let's start off with tomorrow, which would be Thursday, and these are all going to be for the morning time for each day. So for in this scenario, this would be for Thursday morning, still below average, not as below average, but still extremely below average. And this is an averaged out of about 40 models or so, showing their forecasted 2 meter temperature anomaly. So this is quite accurate, especially as you get longer farther out. Some of the base European and GFS models don't do so well, so I like to use the European Ensemble or the GEFS model for that. So here's your low temperatures for Thursday, September 10th, and we are looking at some warmer conditions than what we saw yesterday, especially over the western and north central United States. But still, we're in the 30s and in the 40s for when you're waking up over these areas. Now, as we get into Friday morning, still below average, but that actually starts to stretch out into parts of northern New England and also into much of the Great Lakes there, where you're seeing some cooler than normal conditions. Still, you see that Arctic air mass that's over parts of the Rockies and the south central United States, and it's starting to dip further to the south. This would be by September 11th. Now, here would be the low temperatures on Friday, and we are looking at some 40s and 30s, and that's for parts of northern New England and the Great Lakes, as well as for parts of still Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah, especially in those highest elevations. Now, here would be by Saturday, September 12th, still some lingering cold air for parts of the Rockies, centered around those areas that had quite a bit of snowfall, but we are also looking at a little bit of that cold air also lingering into parts of the Northeast and parts of the Great Lakes as well. So that's the cold air is kind of separating by this point. Now, here's what that looks like in terms of your actual low temperatures for Saturday, September 12th, and we are looking at generally, especially over northern New England and also into the higher elevation regions of the Rockies, we are looking at 40s and maybe even some upper 30s for your low temperatures as you're waking up. Now, here would be by Sunday morning. This would be Sunday morning around the 13th of September, and we are looking at some cooler than normal conditions, especially centered around the central United States. We have actually warmer conditions on each coast, and so for the west coast and also the east coast, we have warmer than normal conditions for the central United States, some cooler than normal conditions, and we'll actually talk about where this cold air is coming from because it's coming from very far north in Canada, over northern Canada, and even into the Arctic Circle. That's where your cold air is really coming from. Now, here would be your actual low temperatures for Sunday the 13th, and we are looking at lingering cold air again for parts of New England, and then also generally milder for parts of the northern plains and the Rockies, but still it is slightly below what is typical for this time of year. Now, here would be by Monday the 14th, and we are looking at that cold air starting to progress further to the east. We're looking at a kind of a strip of cooler than normal conditions centering southwest to northeast. We're looking at over New Mexico and Texas, all the way northeastward into parts of Michigan and Wisconsin. They're looking at some cooler than normal conditions. This would be by Monday morning, the 14th of September, and we are looking at your temperatures that morning in the 50s and maybe even some upper 40s for your low temperatures, especially over the northern plains and also into parts of the south central. Now, here would be by Tuesday morning, the 15th of September, and this is when parts of the Northeast and also the Ohio Valley start to get into this, and we are looking at quite a bit of cold air kind of lingering into parts of the Northeast and still over that central portion of the country, but it's really starting to get going, especially over parts of northern New England and also into the Great Lakes. That's where we're looking at quite a bit of cold air really infiltrating, and this is quite a ways out. So the farther out it goes, the lower the probability of this occurring is, and the lower the accuracy is. So the fact that we have these anomalies that are so great, 6 or 7 degrees below your normal, that shows that you have quite a bit of confidence in this. And this would be by Tuesday, the 15th of September, and we're gonna go out 10 days. So here would be by day 7, Tuesday, the 15th of September, for your low temperatures, and we are looking at again those cooler than normal conditions really get going into parts of northern New England. Look at that. We have temperatures that are in the middle 30s, and maybe even some frost and freezes up in that part of the country as well. For parts of the central United States, you do see some semblance of that cooler than normal air that is over that part of the country. Now let's move this forward. This would be by day 8. This would be Wednesday, the 16th of September, and that cold air really starts to nosedive further to the south into parts of the mid-Atlantic and southeast there. We still have that stripe over the central U.S., but it's really starting to dig down into parts of the eastern United States by this point. Now, here would be by Wednesday, the 16th of September, and we are looking at again very below normal temperatures, especially over parts of the northeastern United States here, where you have some much cooler than normal conditions, and even in the coastal regions, you're seeing temperatures that are getting down near 50, and as you get just inland, you're getting into the 40s and maybe even some 30s over some of these regions. So it is definitely getting very, very cold over these regions by this point compared to your normal. And then here would be by Thursday, the 17th of September, and we are looking at still that stripe of cold air over parts of the northeast and mid-Atlantic there. And if you look at your temperatures, your low temperatures for that day, still it is you still see that semblance of some cooler than normal conditions, but this time the temperatures do raise just a little bit. Now here would be by your final day. This would be Friday, the 18th of September, and most of the cold air is gone, but you are reloading with some cooler air up in Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. There, that's starting to reload, and you're starting to see some cooler than normal conditions into parts of the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. There, so you see we do have some 40s and 50s for parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota, lingering chillier air over parts of parts of the Northeast, where you still have some temperatures in the 40s and 50s, but generally has warmed up quite a bit across the majority of the nation. So let's start looking at the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day outlook. Then we'll look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, and then the 3 to 4 week outlook. So here would be the 6 to 10 day outlook, and you are looking at that again, that stripe of cooler air throughout the central portion of the country, warmer along the southeast and warmer along the western United States. 8 to 14 day outlook looks like this. We have some colder than normal conditions over northern New England and also the Great Lakes, and then another region there for parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually kind of fill in this map a little bit, and it kind of looks like this in terms of the below normal temperatures as we get closer to this event. Now, here would be your 3 to 4 week outlook, and we are looking at no areas in below average, and they rarely do put below average. They're much more comfortable putting above average on this map, but we do see some chances of above average temperatures for much of the western and northern United States. But where you have equal chances, that's basically them saying we're not going to put below average on this map, but it is definitely likely. Especially, I would eyeball this area for below average within the 3 to 4 week time frame. Now, here is where your cold air is coming from. Now, look at this purple area that I just outlined. This is where we're looking at cold air, and look at where the below normal temperatures are. They're all the way up in northern Canada and into parts of eastern Alaska, and all the way up into parts of the Arctic Circle, and even into Greenland, and that is funneling south and eastward into parts of the Great Lakes and also to the northeast. So your cold air is really originating in parts of northern Canada, and that is really moving southeastward. Now, here kind of demonstrating how this cold air is really moving. Now, also something I want to point out, here's the just for fun, looking at the 360 hour on the European ensemble model. Now, I wouldn't take this as certain, but just pointing out that you are looking at some snow chances, at least for parts of northern New England. We also see some chances for parts of North Dakota, potentially going into Minnesota and potentially South Dakota there. And then we also see a little stripe there going into parts of the Dakotas and also Nebraska. We'll have to see about that. I'm just eyeing those areas. And then also we have that lingering snowfall from that Rockies snowstorm, as well as some additional snowfall that'll fall at a later date, and we'll talk about that if that does actually occur. But it is just a sign that we are getting into the groove of things. Also, look at parts along southern Canada. You're starting to really see that map fill in, and when you see that, that indicates that you're having Canadian snow cover. Canadian snow cover makes the air colder, and if your air is originating from Canada, your air that comes down will be colder than it will typically be if there is no snow cover. So definitely we are starting to see Canadian snowpack really start to set in, and that'll really help snowfall come to parts of the United States earlier than normal. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.